Hey there, my name is Stu Brookins, and I'm going to talk today a little bit about the Ford F-150 Lightning. This is a truck that I've had for about a year. I got 33,000 kilometers on it. It's the standard range. It was an XLT ordered right from Ford. Was still being built, sort of thing. Yeah, so there's a few things about this truck that I've learned along the way, and the pros and the cons. I'll say right off the bat, mostly pros. Let's start with the base, and that's the truck itself, what it cost. Yeah, this is a XLT 2024, and with the rebates that were available in my home province and the federal rebate combined, brought this truck down to, I think it was $63,000 or slightly less, which was actually a bit less than the XLT gas version of this same truck. So for us at least, this is a company truck, so for us at least, this truck cost less than the gas version. Okay, so that was a plus, because I think a lot of people think electric vehicles are extremely expensive, and yes, they do have a higher tag generally without any rebates, but even that I think is reasonable. And we were buying electric vehicles in our company before the rebates were available, and we sort of found that when the rebates came in, we saw the prices of the vehicles go up. So I'm not sure whether the dealers were taking a little more of a cut on it or how that was going, but I know we did see an increase in the pricing of the vehicles, so I'm not sure. But having said that, even without rebates, I would say that this truck would have been a good purchase. I believe it saved in excess of $4,000 in fuel costs. I have to sit down and crunch those numbers, but I think that's where we're sitting. I know it gets ridiculously good economy based on, well, compared to gas, I guess. I figured it to be about 5.5 cents per kilometer driven. Yeah, so for a full-size pickup truck with 786 foot-pounds of torque, and that's instant torque. The thing will do from 0 to 100K in somewhere around 4 seconds. The torque is amazing. The truck doesn't hesitate or anything. You go to pull a trailer or something, it's just there. It doesn't really notice that there's any great weight behind it. There is issues with towing trailers with these trucks, range primarily, and it does drop the range significantly. So this is probably not a truck that I would buy to do any long haul trucking sort of thing. It is good for local. If I want to take a boat to a river, or a camper, local camper to a campground, or just utility trailer hauling a lawnmower around, or that sort of thing, construction trailers, I think for the most part this would be fine for that, but not something you would take and probably try and do more than I'll say 100 to 150 kilometers per day. If you're towing a trailer, probably isn't reasonable without getting a charge somewhere along the line. I mean, once you get a charge again, it starts all over again. So yeah, that could work. But hey, I digress a bit. Let's talk about the truck itself. What do I think of it? Well, I guess I'll say I'm a fan of the electric vehicles overall. My history is that I was a diesel mechanic for the first 20 years of my career. I still have a shop with a hoist in it, and I've continuously worked on vehicles for the last 40 plus years. Not my primary job. I get into business 20 some years ago, and a few businesses, and I've kind of done that, but I'm still connected, I guess, with the maintenance side of things, and I kind of understand, I guess, the mechanics of it all. So right off the bat, let's just talk the mechanics, the drive system in this truck. One of the most impressive things with this truck, I think, is what it doesn't have. And as a mechanic, I can tell you some of the things it doesn't have are very complicated pieces of mechanical equipment. So let's start with the obvious one. It does not have an engine. Fair enough. Engines are very complex. They have a lot of moving parts. They're difficult and expensive to repair. They really are quite complicated. We've advanced the engine, the internal combustion engine, over the last 100 years or so. We've done a great job. They've got more efficient than they once were. They're definitely way better than they were even 20-30 years ago, but they're still very inefficient. They're only recouping about 30% of the energy provided by the fuel, which is your gas. They waste a lot of energy and heat. I mean, both in the engine itself, well, pretty much, yeah, the engine, some friction and so on. So engines are very complex, a lot of moving parts, things to go wrong. I don't have one, so that's not an issue. The next thing I would say is the transmission. I don't have one of those. Transmissions, much like engines, are very complex. Don't have as much in the heating issues or whatever, but they do have a lot of moving parts. They do wear out. There have been problems with various transmissions that they've tried to come out with, where they're up to 10 speeds in some cases. They're shifting gears a lot. The reason for the transmission is you're trying to get the highest efficiency and torque out of your engine, and to do that you need to keep changing gears for depending on what the vehicle's doing. So basically they're very expensive to replace. A transmission on just a small car today, especially the CVTs, you could be looking $5,000–6,000 to change a transmission. It's probably more than that, but I want to be conservative. So yeah, but I don't have a transmission, so I'm not worried about that. What do I have? Well, actually, let's talk about more what I don't have. I don't have a fuel system. I don't have a gas tank. I don't have a fuel pump. I don't have fuel lines. I got none of that. I don't have an exhaust system. So there's no exhaust pipes, no manifolds to go bad. There's no catalytic converter to be stolen. I don't have that. Okay, fair enough. So this truck, what it doesn't have kind of impresses me perhaps as much as what it does have. So what does it have? Well, in exchange for all those things that I didn't get, what I did get was 2 motors. This is an all-wheel drive, so I have 2 motors, one in the front, one in the back, and they take about the same space as the differential would. And I guess I didn't mention differentials. I don't have that. I don't have a transfer case. I don't have differentials front and rear of the car or vehicle. I don't have any of that. But I do have a motor up front, which uses about the same space as the differential would. I have another in the rear, about the same thing, and that's pretty much it. I have a battery for my fuel source, if you will, and that's it. So I got a battery and 2 motors in exchange for everything else that would have been in this truck if it was gas. So what did I gain for that? What did I give up? Well, the gain, I guess, is just the power, the smoothness. Even the truck itself handles much better. The low center of gravity with the battery, I mean, it handles more like a, say sports car, but it certainly does feel more like a BMW than it does a pickup truck. Seems fairly stable in the turns. It is a truck, there's no doubt about that, and that's probably one of the things I like about this particular vehicle. Is it's just an F-150 pickup truck Ford. It's pretty much the same as the gas version. The interior is identical. The seats, the steering, this is pretty much familiar. So I don't have to be I don't have to relearn and think I'm driving some spaceship. I'm not. This is just an F-150. Anybody can get in this truck and drive it. It's just the same. So I do kind of like that. It is efficient. I mean, I got 786 foot-pound of torque, which I mentioned. It's 0 to 100K in around 4 seconds, I believe, which again I mentioned. That's pretty obvious. No gear shifts. It's very smooth. Electric vehicles are very different when you drive them and you get used to it. That they're just so instant power and so smooth. You can control the vehicle better than a gas, as far as I'm concerned. When you go to pass something or whatever, it's just much more controllable. It's hard to explain that, but it's just torque you're dealing with, instant torque. There's no revs or no gear shifting. It's just a much more controllable thing to do when you go to pass. So I do like that as well. Yeah, so I mean, I don't really have much to complain about with this thing. I did the math. I have an older F-150 gas truck that I've had for a number of years. To fill that truck cost me roughly $176. I can do about the same kilometers with this truck for 2 charges. So each charge of this truck, when I do it at home, runs me about $17 per charge. That would be 0 to 100%, which typically you're not doing, but that would be what it would be. So for that equivalent in charging, I'd have to do it twice compared to the gas, filling the gas tank once. So that cost me on this truck about $34. I think I'm paying 17 cents, like I said, per kilowatt hour. Now to go fill the truck up, it was 176. So to me, that's easy math. The equivalent here would be $34. So do I want to pay the $34 for that distance, or do I want to pay 175 or 176? Yeah, to me, that's pretty easy. Okay, but now having said that, this truck isn't for everybody and it's not for everything. The gas trucks definitely are superior if you're doing long hauls, And if you need to do that, then please, this is not your truck at the moment. Now, there is an extended range version of this truck. We do have one of those as well in the company. It's a 500K plus. This truck I consider to be about 300K. It's rated at 383, but I call it a 300K truck. 300K is a number that works well for me. I don't have to be too worried about things in that range. Could I stretch it longer? Possibly, but that's the number I like to work with. So I call this a 300K truck, and I would call the extended range, I guess, at least a 450K truck. Again, they do more than that, but that's just, for me, it just makes that comfortable range. Real world range, I would say. Okay, good enough. Yeah, so now if you go up to the extended range truck, there is a premium for that. I believe the other truck that we have was about $20,000 more than this truck. Yeah, no, we purchased one and we leased the other one, so I'm not sure how that'll work out in the end, but there's about a $20,000 differential between the two trucks. So that long range, that extended range of 500 plus K, that is definitely pretty nice. Okay. So I don't have much in the way of range anxiety. That used to be kind of a thing for people, because if you don't understand how electric vehicles work, it can be an issue with range anxiety. The big thing now is more charger anxiety. In other words, when I'm planning a trip, where the charger is going to be located, how many are there, how fast are the chargers, like what's the speed of it, how fast can they put the energy into my truck, and that sort of thing. Now we're seeing the infrastructure for the chargers getting way better. I know here in PEI, going from here to say Moncton, which is about 150K away, or Halifax was about 300K away, those trips are pretty easy now because the infrastructure's gotten so much better. I believe there's about 13 or 14, maybe more, fast chargers between here and Halifax, and there's probably 6 or so, I guess, between here and Moncton. So that's not really a problem. I mean, I can charge at home and drive right to Moncton, and there's all kinds of charging available in Moncton or in the general area. So yeah, so I'm not concerned about that. If you're going off the main highways, it can get sketchy. If you're getting off into, rural areas, the availability of the chargers can be an issue. So again, maybe the gas truck is the best choice, if that's what you're going to be doing. But you're going to pay a cost for that. Like this truck here was at 33,000 kilometers on it now, and like I say, I believe it saved us in excess of $4,000 in fuel cost. Like to me, 5.5 cents per kilometer to drive this truck is just ridiculously cheap. We have some gas Kia Souls and some electric Kia Souls. We have mostly electric, but we have some gas. Comparing those two vehicles, I find the electric Kia Soul is costing me about 3 cents a kilometer to operate, whereas the gas version of the same is somewhere around 15 cents. So that's quite a difference between those two. So obviously, yeah. So again, 5.5 cents on average to run this truck per kilometer. It just seems unbelievable. Arguably, that's less cost than if I was driving a Toyota Prius. So yeah, don't know. Anyway, that's my take on it. There's another Lightning, just met one right there. I meet about 4 or 5 of these a day in our area. So I'm finding a lot of the contractors seem to be picking these up. For contractor, they're great. They're working local sites. They could, they're saving a lot. Anybody that's only putting on less than 300K a day is certainly, pretty hard to argue this truck wouldn't be good for them. There's no real issue with the technology so much as the batteries and that kind of thing. Like you hear that, oh, the batteries don't last and they catch fire and blah blah. Well, that's not really true. If you look at the statistics, and the gas car is about 23 times more likely to catch fire than an electric one is. They really don't have an issue. Batteries are lasting tremendously long, 400,000+ kilometers generally speaking. They're warranted for 8 years, 160,000 K. I think the numbers that I came up with, and I hope I'm right on this, but I think I am. 8-year warranty on the battery for this truck, and 8 years, 160,000 K. So based on the 160,000 K, I suspect this truck should save me somewhere in the neighborhood of, well, I want to keep it conservative. I'll say 20,000. I think it was 24,000 I figured, but let's say $20,000 in fuel savings over the half-life of the truck, which I would consider 160,000 K. So worst case scenario, if something really went critically wrong the day after warranty, I'm already in 20 grand, and the odds of a replacement battery for this truck being $20,000 8 years from now with the technologies the way they are would be very, very low, I think. Plus, I don't expect it to fail. I'm not really, it's much like the engine. I don't expect an gas engine to fail at 160,000 K. Could it happen? Yeah. You know, you don't get warranty on your engine for that long. What can I tell you? Or transmission or whatever. So I'm not really concerned about it. Yeah. Anyway, that's kind of my take on it. I'm not selling you anything. I don't have an agenda here. Although I would like to see the infrastructure continue to grow, which it's doing. Charges are much faster. They're 3 times as fast as what we were seeing here a year or so ago. And we started off like most of the chargers around here, the fast chargers, if you could find one, were only 50 kilowatt. Now we're seeing, you know, chargers that are running like 150 to 180 kilowatts. This truck will take up to 150 kilowatt of energy. So, I mean, your charge times are, you know, dropped dramatically. You know, you pull in for 15 or 20 minutes and you're probably good to go. So, anyway, it is what it is. I just was driving here and just thought this was a chance to do a little rant on it, and maybe this will make it to YouTube, maybe it won't, but okay. Thank you for listening to me. Thanks for coming along with the ride. Have a good day. Bye.